Never trying to disrespect it. I'm just trying to feel my emotions.
Hi there and welcome to this tutorial. Today I will be showing you how to set up your first project. You're probably starting out. Cubase is probably overwhelming and I will try to enlighten you with some stuff. Once you have successfully managed to plug in the Cubase dongle, a USB thingy, and open Cubase, this is the screen that's gonna meet you. So on the left here you can see a lot of announcements about new project and stuff. I try to ignore that. I'm pretty happy with my current version of Cubase, which is 8.5. I'm probably gonna upgrade to 9 at some point. But the most important is the right panel, which is recent recordings, and there's even a couple templates in here that you can use. As for now, you're just gonna press this panel thingy, project folder, and then backspace to delete the name, and you can call it whatever, test 101. Yes, actually, yes. You have to call it yes. Okay, create empty. Whoa, there's another screen. What you see I'm doing with my cursor here, I'm trying to make it bigger. So we're gonna make it full screen for now. Then you press F3 to open the mixer. This is the mixer. More about this later. F2 is really important because this is your transport and you have a lot of functions like looping, metronome, pre-count, setting markers, right off the bat. There's a couple of hotkeys. We are not gonna talk about them because you're probably just using a mouse, and that's gonna be the easiest things for a beginner, I guess. So hover over this area, then right click, and this thing pops up. A big menu with a lot of stuff. The most important is this add audio track for you to get your microphone. So here you can see you can add 10 or a lot of different tracks. We're just gonna use one for now. If you're using one microphone, it's really important that you choose mono, because stereo and everything else is for like huge settings with more than one microphone. So yeah, track name, you can write it here. I usually write the VOC for vocals. Output routing, don't really think about it. Stereo out is good. Add track. Now we have a track. This is one track, audio track. You can make it big like this. You can go up here and click and make it purple instantly. You have to make it purple, or at least pink. A lot of these things, we will come back to it later. I think they came in Cubase 7. The biggest deal for me is this edit channel. We'll talk about more about that later. Here you can see the volume of the track. This is some type of gain. If you do this and you can't really find the 0 like I'm showing here, you can control, then left click, and it should go back to 0 like this. That's your volume. Here is the panning, left or right, and the same thing applies. If you can't find the 0, control, left click. This one, track delay in milliseconds. Never do anything with it because it's gonna up everything. Control click if you get lost. Now let's set up the microphone. You'll see this thing. It's the input routing. Yeah, just press it, and I have my microphone on left, so I'm gonna press left. Now it should be good. Of course, because I'm recording this with a different program, we might not see the audio waves down here. More about sound devices, audio devices, sound cards. You need to press device in order to change. Like me, I use 5 different sound cards, so I do this a lot. Press devices, go down to VST connections and see it should be good, but right now it isn't on my computer. It's using the generic low, which is Windows 10, I think the standard basic driver. So what we're gonna do next, forget about this, go out, then go down to device setup, and this panel is very important. You only need to press this and you see all my drivers. I'm using the Focusrite, so I'm gonna, yeah. Now everything should work except for input, and I'm gonna show you how to activate the inputs. Sometimes if you switch back and forth with different sample rates, weird things can happen, but that's a different story. We're gonna check this box, release driver when application is in background. This allows Cubase to work with Spotify, so you can go back and forth and listen to reference tracks or mixing or anything. I usually go back and forth with Spotify if I'm mastering or mixing musics. Yeah. This makes it a lot easier. If this is switched off, it's gonna lock Cubase to be the only thing that plays sound on a computer. All of this, don't really have to think about it for now. If you have multi-processing, keep it on. If you don't know, then probably don't. The oscilloscope level, I always keep it on high for some reason. I feel that that's the best. I will come back to all of this later in a different video. If you're still having problems, I'm going to show you how to activate your microphones. So we go in here, you basically just press on your own sound driver, it doesn't have to say Focusrite. The control panel will usually show you your own sound card's own software. And the thing we are going to do is all inside of Cubase, so don't really think about this panel. Microphone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can see they are inactive. I will show you how to activate them. If you ever get lost like this and there's a big alien staring at you, you can always go back down here to the left and open your project. Most of the times. This makes it a lot easier if you're working with, say, I don't know, 10 different songs or projects. We're going to VST connections. For some reason this panel is a lot bigger. You can see all of these, you can click them. Outputs, inputs, those are the most important. Right now you see the output device is Focusrite, which is my sound card. Here it's not connected. Connect it. Now everything should work. I mean, everything works. Let's double check it. So back in here, you can see, not this one, you can see to the right, active, which means it works. It's active. It's radioactive. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so now we have a track. Let's say we're gonna record a lot of cool vocals. The thing I like to do is go in the E, just press the E and it takes you to this panel, which is the mixing or inserts and sends and equalizer and everything is in here. This is where all the magic happens. Here, and also here, and here, and also here, and also here, and here, and here. Take your time and get to know this panel because it has saved my life so many times.
How does this work?
If you notice that it says mono to stereo and here it says stereo out and you become really confused and you don't remember anything because I originally told you to choose mono, this is just for the effects. So if you add effects here to the left, it's going to be mono and on the right is going to be stereo. More about sends later. This is kind of where you put your reverbs and delays and choruses. On the left, I'm just going to load. I will show you how to make a preset later. I'm going to choose this one. Vox Super Jogs. Yeah. It's sort of my go-to vocals, at least for myself. All of this is stock plugins, by the way. I will show you more about this later in a future video.
Trying to keep up with the old folks, trying to hang out with my old folks, living far away from home. I just know that you're the Bruce. Let's be.
Just gonna disable these for now for no reason apparently. We're not gonna do anything. We're not gonna do any recording today. I'm just gonna show you how to make like a small setup. So let's say there are 3 singers. You right click, duplicate tracks. It should say Voc D, duplicate. You can call it Voc 2, the cool guy. I'm just imagining you're hanging out with some cool guys. This you do the same thing, Voc 3, vocal 3. Some sweet girl, yeah. She's gonna sing somewhere on the second chorus or verse. Yeah, okay, now by duplicating the first one, we still have all the effects on the inserts, which makes life a lot easier, because let's say both of these guys are guys, they're male, and they have a similar voice, and this is a girl. Then we basically just have to edit the girl, do some EQ stuff, because female vocals are a different frequency spectrum than male. This is the vocal section. After I'm done recording something, I usually do this. I make them smaller, and they're by holding down Shift. Yeah, you can mark them, select them, then right click, and wait a sec. Press F3, and we're back into the mixing console. We're gonna hover over the name down here, and then right click, link selected channels. We're gonna call it vocal group. This isn't actually a vocal group, but it's more of, yeah, look at this. As you can see, they are now linked, so if they are on the same volume, and it makes life a lot easier. I'm also going to show you a different approach, which is the more traditional way of grouping. I think it's just right click, yeah, and add group channel track. This one has to be stereo because of effects. We're gonna call this something like amazing vocals. Yeah, hashtag nice. Yeah, add track. Now we have successfully created a group track. There's nothing in this group, so we have to individually send all of these to the group. Stereo out to the group. Stereo out to the group. It's kind of slow, but it's very useful for effects and reverb, you know, doing automations and stuff. So the next thing you have to do is obviously make this purple. I usually use a different shade, so it's easier to see that this is a group and not just an individual track. If you press the E, this will take you to the... Whoa. So once again, if you press the E, this will take you to the mixing panel thing for the group track, and this is where I usually add some effects. And on the inserts, because this is a stereo track, you can add reverbs or dynamics. Maybe you want some camel crusher in here, whatever. Since this is stereo, you can have stereo things on the inserts. Are you confused? Me too. Same with sends, more about that later. For vocals, I usually do this. I take away some bass, depending on female or male vocals. I boost some highs. This is kind of a sloppy way, I'm just doing it fast now to show you. Some females need a little bit of a boost down in the 200 Hertz area. Some males, including myself, I need to take away a lot in this area. I usually do something like this. This is just, don't take it personal. I mean, don't take it literally. It's just a sloppy way to make vocals sound kind of nice. Enough about vocals. We have just recorded all our vocals, and everybody's happy. Now it's time to add MIDI tracks. The way I do it is kind of old school, I think. I press F11, this screen pops up, and I usually do this. I make this sequencer smaller so I can see this all the times. Up here, almost, yeah. There are two different ways to add instruments. You can either rack, I usually always rack, but you can also press this thing, add track instrument. It will create a virtual instrument track. Just use rack for now. We're gonna add some drums, Groove Agent SE, and it's gonna take a while to load because I don't know. Yeah, great. Oops. Yeah, don't think about it. It's just me. I just moved a lot of my sample bass, so yeah. The drums, I could talk about them for ages. Ah, flip. This is the custom one I built. Yeah. The reason I'm still using Cubase is because of the drum machine. I love it. It's such a good way to approach rhythms, I think. It's kind of like implemented analog way of doing stuff on a synthetic digital program. So yeah, I really like the Groove Agent SE. Current version is pretty good. You can see, yeah, more about all of this later. This is where your drums are, so if you press Alt plus K, you can see this panel down here. If you're not using a MIDI keyboard, this is how you play stuff. Just take my word for it, there's no audio because I'm recording over this. Yeah. After we have successfully recorded the drums and everybody's dancing, it's maybe time to add some bass lines. Let's maybe take the basic ones, standard ones. Haliosonic, it comes with Cubase. It's not the best, but it's pretty good. It has a lot of stuff. So you can use Haliosonic for everything. That's how I started when I first got Cubase, sorry. When I first got Cubase, I used Haliosonic for everything. Let's say you want a bass, for some reason you want it to be picked. You can add 16 different instruments. I usually just use one at a time. And I usually have 10 Halions if I'm using Halion, stacked or racked. Anyways, these are now MIDI tracks. And to open the virtual instrument track, we need to press this thing called Edit Instrument. If you want to do something crazy with the MIDI, you can press the E, which will take you to the MIDI panel. That's not important. I almost never do that myself. I press F3, and this takes us back to the mixing console. Both of these tracks are now MIDI tracks, so let's start with a setup of the mixer. Stereo in, if you press this one, it will keep your stereo in on the left at all times. Same with stereo out, press the right, boom, you have stereo out on the right at all times. This makes life a lot easier. You can usually and easily see it. It's really nice. Another thing is you press, visibility, press visibility, and then you can disable the MIDI tracks. I usually don't mess anything with the MIDI tracks. Since MIDI is a data signal and not an audio signal, you know, you can't really add a compressor to a MIDI signal, but you can add a compressor to the virtual instrument track. So these are the virtual instrument masters. The master is the drum. I usually just call it drum. And this is the bass, so we're gonna call it bass. Yeah. Then again, you can go in here and do crazy stuff. Also for the bass, you want some pretty bassy bass, add some crazy effects. More about this later. Okay, you're done. You have recorded your entire song, which is amazing, and for me it's invisible. Say you want to export it and sell it for $2 billion to some company that wants to buy your song. There are several ways to do this. Then to make audio appear outside of Cubase. I'm trying to sound really dumb right now, but the easiest way is to, do you see these white triangles, Illuminati confirmed? You press and drag. Oops, that's the wrong way. like this. Yeah. So let's say you recorded from 1 all the way to the 41. Yeah, that's not that far, but if you're wondering, is my song long enough? Do it need to be louder? No, longer. You can right click and then seconds, and maybe okay. My song should probably be 3.7 seconds. Yeah, and then go back to bars. And yeah, are you confused? Me too. Now you have selected your entire song and it sounds amazing. You can go to File, Export, Audio Mix Down, and this panel shows up. Let's call it the amazingly cool song. Yeah. Version version 56. Yeah. Exporting with symbols sometimes messes up, but don't think too much about it. You can also just set it to project name, which is an untitled one. Just gonna keep that for now. Also, path options, you can click this is where you're gonna save your song or whatever. You can use choose, and you can do it manually. Yeah. The file format is also really important. If you want to be cool, you can use WAV. If you want to be pretty normal, you can use MPEG-1 layer 3 file, which is basically MP3. It has to be 16 bitrate. I'm just kidding. It has to be 320 and also 44.1 kilohertz. If you're really cool, you could use 48, but that implies that you recorded everything in 48 beforehand. Yeah, so for now we're just going to keep it at 44.1. Yeah, high quality mode is bullshit. It basically just sets this to infinity, which is kind of lame. Humans can't really hear that far up. It does help in mastering, but for an MPEG-1 layer 3 file, it isn't that important. Also, the insert ID3 thing tag, I never use it because I don't know. I like to keep my files raw. I would use MPEG-1 layer 3 file for SoundCloud or sending things back and forth, collaborations and stuff. At least if you keep this at 320 and this one at 44.1, yeah, then it's good. For mastering or mixing and stuff, I always use WAV. Then you have to do this, the same thing down here, 44.1 and 24-bit. You should always use 24-bit, unless somebody told you to use something different for a specific situation. Back in the days I used 16-bit, but then 2012 happened and everybody switched to 24. Yeah. Also, it's really important to have this checked, the left and right channels. It means that it's gonna export both channels. If this isn't on, it's not gonna export anything, so yeah. Also, monomix is sometimes really interesting, but for now, don't think about it. If you use a lot of virtual instruments, like 200 Halion Sonic SEs and 5 billion massives and Serum, maybe press real-time export. It's gonna export everything in real time. Self-explanatory. This makes some of the MIDI information not get lost. That's horrible English. If I do EDM or dubstep or anything, I always export in real time, just to make sure that everything gets captured, but don't think about it unless you use 200 billion Halion Sonics. The pool is also pretty cool, because if you pool an audio track, it's gonna send it directly down here on your sequencer, so you can listen to it. We don't really need it for now. We're just gonna press export. There's nothing here, there's nothing recorded. Sorry, a sorry time out of court. Yeah, don't think about it. Okay guys, thanks for tuning in. Remember to drop a like in the comments and subscribe to the comments and subscriptions. Also, I'm sorry that I recorded this in 48. I didn't realize my sound card was actually in 44.1, so sorry for that mistake. That's a problem that sometimes causes a lot of hassle. I once recorded an entire song in a different sample rate. I spent 6 hours in the studio recording vocals. it turned out pretty strange because it either goes faster or slower. In that situation, it actually worked out because the vocals ended up sounding very unique. And the Beatles actually did something similar by speeding up their own vocals to sound younger. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. I will probably make more videos about Cubase, sound design, mixing or mastering in the future. So remember to leave a like in the comments, in the subscription, and also like your own comment and subscription. I'm just messing. Thanks. See you later, guys.